Welcome, guys. Welcome to this podcast. This is another episode of me, and we are going to discuss about the financial freedom and how to basically achieve it before 40 or maybe in your 40s. So, while looking at the topic, maybe you guys have an idea or maybe a fair idea like what exactly are we going to talk about. So, fortunately, we have a special guest today, and I literally tell you that, Let me give you a introduction to Mr. Ajay Gupta. Mr. Ajay Gupta is actually a former Indian Army officer with 23 years of experience in the service of the Corps of Artillery. And after retirement, he pursued MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and founded a company called Seven Rays, a financial literacy venture that empowers individual and organizations. So, and he is my personal finance advisor. So anything, if I let's say if my salary gets an increment, I go to him, I ask him, where do I invest this money? And literally he gives me an idea and I invest the money over there. Everything is so smooth. And today, till date, if I'm going to sold all my holdings, all the profile holdings which I have, I'm going to get near about 22% of profit. So without any further ado, let me introduce Mr. Ajay Gupta. Welcome to this podcast, sir. Please.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks, Prabhakar, for a nice introduction. So, I'm Colonel Ajay Gupta, served for Indian Army for 23 years, as introduced by Prabhakar. But very, very surprising, the person who was in the defense services now into numbers. Isn't that surprise, all of you? You see, this happened because I had a unique liking towards the number, and one incident in my life, the changed entire thought process towards the money. Uh, I was around 11 years of service into defense. As I was a young major, one of my commanding officer came and called all of us to the boardroom, and he drew two lines on the whiteboard. One line was 15 degree inclination. The other line was about 70-degree inclination. So at the initial point A, they were separated by 6 inches. Since the angle was different, at the end, at the point B, there was a gap of almost feet and a half. So he tried to explain that the lower line is your income and the upper line is your expenses. So gap is increasing with every passing day. So how you'll make your money work to bridge the gap? And this one story turned around entire life of mine. So on that background, I'll just introduce myself. So I worked for 23 years in Indian Army. I was I served for almost 10 years into the unit, which was a Prithvi missile, the first missile introduced under the APJ Abdul Kalam, the range of 150 kilometers. 10 years, launched myself 10 odd missiles. And after that, I was the missile advisor to the nuclear commander in chief in India. I can't
Wow.
say anything beyond that. After that, I went to IIM Ahmedabad, did MBA, worked for corporate for 4 years, and currently managing a wealth of 150 crores, about 1,000 clients. One of the most esteemed is Prabhakar.
Thank you so much. This was an amazing. There are a lot of insights I got to know today. I did not know. So we are really blessed to have you here. So let's start our podcast and basically the knowledge sharing session. So I would like to ask. I would like to start the session by asking a question to you that basically which is aligned with this topic is that what does the financial freedom mean to you? And why it is so important that we have to, we should achieve, or maybe we have to achieve in our 40s or maybe before 40s, and what should we do? Could you please enlighten us a little bit?
Thanks, Prabhakar, for this question. But let me tell you, I am also still looking for answer. Just on the lighter side, uh, You see, financial freedom to me, to Prabhakar, to Shivam, to anybody who's listening to this podcast will never match with one individual to another. Is your peer same as you? Are your sibling need the similar financial freedom? Are your colleagues or you're the best of the friend, do they need the same financial freedom? So how do we reach this term of a financial freedom, and what is financial freedom? Let me tell you and put across, since I'm 59 years of age, I have gone through and seen a lot of life. The financial freedom, if today you decide, say you want at the age of 41 cr, this is just an example. Let me tell you, by time we reach 35, you'll find the 1 CR is very, very less. Probably you need 3 CR now. So, how do we reach this figure? What is the magical figure? You see, I would have inherited some property from my parents. Prabhakar would have got nothing and would have been doing everything himself. Shivam, from a humble background, trying to really do something. So, to learn something more to it, try to read a book written by Morgan Housel, Psychology of Money. He at the end and the middle of the book asked a question: how much is enough? Can anybody identify? And anybody is trying to identify. So one has to really decide what he called as a financial freedom to himself. So if anybody says, for me, at the age of 40, I don't wish to work, and that money should work for me for the next 40 years of age as the life expectancy is increasing day by day. Somebody says, at the age of 40, for me, a smaller amount is good enough. I need to attain the peace of mind. And I find peace of mind is non-negotiable. And if I have 50,000 rupees a month, probably I'll be able to survive for next 50 years. So identifying a financial freedom is absolutely individual task. How much is enough? Please ask a question. The another thing where I stop for the current question is that what is that we need in our life for the financial freedom? So various goals, and this will keep aligning at the every cycle of 3 to 4 years. So today you want 1 CR at the age of 40. After 3 years, you find the entire thing is realigned. So this is the outset. I would like to say, Prabhakar, you want me to elaborate further, or you want the another question to be posed in?
I would like to. Okay, so let's understand with the help of another question which I have, sir, that what all what all different processes we should adopt at the early stage or maybe early age to achieve what we called is as a financial freedom. What is the process? What are the process should be adopted to achieve it?
Absolutely. I think this is one thing which we must start straight away, or I can say without wasting even today. You see, we all keep hearing and we keep sitting at the fence. The FOMO, that is fear of missing out, and we keep sitting for a longer period of time because of indecisiveness. So if
Correct.
something is risky, something is not risky, something is safe, we still have to take a plunge to reach there. So what are these steps? The first step, we need to know what is saving. Second step is what is investment and how saving gets converted into investment. What are the financial products available in the market? What are suitable to me as per my risk profile? Then the various bandwagon of the product which are available. Are we supposed to be investing in every product which is available in the financial market? Probably not. We need to see the suitability for ourselves. We also need to see how much journey that we need to live to attain that financial freedom. So the process is saving. So how much should you be saving? So I have a simple formula. If you are working, or even if you are entrepreneur, the and unmarried, irrespective of your age, the 40% of your take home amount, if it is salary or if it is business, 40% to be saved. Out of 40%, 30% should be invested and 10% should be taken towards emergency fund. So that is the first part of saving. Then comes to the investment, which has various financial products. So these are the two first steps. When you are unmarried, this is the rule. If you are married, then 25% of the take home salary or the income, 20% to be invested, and 5% to be kept for emergency funds. If both of you are working and married, then 40% rule will apply. Prabhakar.
Sir, I have a question. So, is it so? Uh, let's say my salary is 1 lakh rupees a month. It's a hypothetical situation, right? So, let's say my salary is 1 lakh rupees a month. Then you're suggesting that 40,000 rupees, which is like a 40% out of 1 lakh. 1 lakh basically is my take home. So I get it in my account. So 40,000 should be taken into a consideration of savings, in which I should be investing 30,000 in different places and channels, and 10,000 should be kept as a emergency fund for some emergency purpose. Is that right?
Absolutely bang on, Prabhakar. You got it right.
Yeah.
And I have a question, like before we move forward. Sorry for interrupting. This 10,000, is there a cap for having that emergency fund, or it will be gradually increasing without any cap or threshold?
Nice question, Shivam. You see, typically before pandemic, we used to say 6 months of monthly expenses should always be available for emergency fund.
Right.
Post pandemic, we started talking about 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to start saving 10,000, you will see how much time it will it take to create the emergency fund depending on how much is your spending every month. Does it answer your question, Shiva?
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhakar.
Great, thank you so much. Now, the next thing which I would like to understand is that what exactly, because a lot of people do not understand one thing, is that let's say, because yesterday I met someone and I was explaining him about this fact that you should consider saving, because if you save a lot, then at the end of the day it's going to work for you. But the person was like, I'm already 38 years old. I'm going to be in 50 in after 12 years. Save करके भी क्या होगा? Like, what would I do? I would like to spend. So this is the first scenario, right? So people sometimes they do not understand this. Second is that what exactly the inflation which people don't understand, like the value of money which we have today, the value of the same amount of money will hold the same value after maybe, let's say, 10 years from now on. So how do you see these two things?
First of all, Prabhakar, let me tell you, I do a financial planning of lot of couple who are in 70s.
Okay, this is great.
So the very smart thing is, even if you are not earning and you have X amount, you also need to know the jugglery and the art of protecting. And with that money, you should be living your life. The life expectancy is increasing every year. So one has to decide this money, whatever little or more I have, should always remain, the corpus should always remain, and through that corpus I should be in a position to live a peaceful life for the rest of your life. So any age, of course, there's no doubt, earlier you start, earlier you retire, you'll have enough money for yourself. Let me quote an example, my life example. My father expired at the age of 86. He retired as a commissioner income tax. He used to write books on income tax. At the age of 80, he suddenly became 82. He started becoming sick and he used to stay with me. So one day we had a great discussion with him. So he says, "You know why I'm sick? Because I stopped writing at the age of 80. That is why I started getting the ailments." So, at whatever age you are, even if you retire at 40, you should have a process and thought process to engage yourself somehow. Even if you're not earning, you should be doing something where your mental engagement is there. Now
Correct.
comes to the second question of yours. What was the second question, Prabhakar? If you could repeat, sorry.
What exactly the inflation and how does it affect our
Yeah.
finances?
Inflation. I think the most important aspect of the entire process of investment and the saving. You see, there are conventional saving products. I'll tell you which all are they, but those products will give you about 5 to 7% return. Inflation at any point of time, government declares between 5 to 7%, but we are not aware. There are various bracket of inflation. If you talk about education, education has an inflation typically about 10 to 15 to 20%. If you remember your children's school fees, all those who are married, or all those who are of my age, the professional fees of the children when they go to the colleges, or for a professional studies like engineering, MBBS, CA. So they realize how much is the inflation. Then second, inflation is petroleum, which is currently almost at 9 to 10%. Then, of course, the normal inflation, day to day inflation, 5 to 7%. So, if we put the average, the inflation between 8% to 9.5%, tell me, where is the product which beats the inflation? An entire thought process of investment is to make sure your investment beat inflation year on year. Meaning, if you have 1 lakh rupees today, after 10 years, the value of 1 lakh should remain 1 lakh. Meaning, if the inflation is 8%, any investment of yours should be getting you 8% year on year. But conventional savings, unfortunately, there's no product more than 8%, other than the people who are working in the corporate EPFO, Employees Provident Fund, which gives you 8.4, 8.1% as of today. In fact, it is increased recently to 8.2%. So FD, you are very happy. Every year you are getting RD, you are very happy, you're getting interest. But let me tell you, friends, you are losing money every day. Your hard earned money is being eaten by white ants, which you can't see.
Uh,
Prabhakar, does it answer it?
Yeah, yeah, it does that. Now, connecting this point which you just mentioned, I have another question which is just coming in my mind because I relate it to my early days of my initial days of my career. So, as you know, that my father was an army officer, so he actually instructed me. He did not. He instructed me in 2006 when I started my career that okay, you know what, your salary has come, now you give me some money, I'll do an RD, the recurring deposit. So while doing that, I started my career in 2006, and till 2015 I had no idea about any other channel except RD, which is recurring deposit, and FD, which is called fixed deposit. And I was like, okay, this is good that you collect some money. So why do you think that because now I have learned that RD and FD, these are the two wherein the bank earns from us. The bank is happy, but we are at loss. The real essence is in compounding. So, can you explain why this RD and FD is bad, which we don't realize because it's based on simple interest, and the compounding, which is actually, it sounds complex, but actually, it is the essence of the investment. Can you please enlighten that?
Prabhakar, I think exceptionally good question. You see, I've just explained the saving banks get you about 3 to 4% interest. Recurring gets you 4 to 5. FD gives you around, today it is a little better post pandemic, around 7.5 to 8%. So none of that beat the inflation. However, let me compliment your father. At least you started that journey of saving. It was not the investment, but you started accumulating something, although it is reducing value, but still the reduction of value was 50%, the, other than the people who were just not saving also. Now, compounding. You see, the Einstein has said compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. People who don't know, they pay it. People who know, they earn it. You see, so it was learned by Einstein during his time. So, what is compounding? Say, when I talk about investments, so I expect a return of about 12 to 15% compounding, meaning if you invested 1 lakh rupees, you earn 12% on it every year, precisely. So, out of 1 lakh, you earn 12,000 rupees, and next year, you earn 1 lakh 12,000 rupees on
Plus
the
interest.
entire amount, again 12%. So that is what is the compounding. When the interest or the growth gets added into your principal and you again earn the similar or the more amount, and it keeps happening every year. So that is what is the real compounding. And that is the only method which will make sure the value of your money is protected and will be able to achieve every possible goal of life. Does it answer your question, Prabhakar?
Yes, it does absolutely, and I have understood this. Now, I would. There is something else coming in my mind is that a lot of I have spoken to a lot of people, and everyone has. I mean, everyone has this fear that I tell him that. So there's a friend of mine. Actually, I explained him about this fact that why don't you start at least investing at least 5,000 rupees per month, and he was like, "What will happen?" I said, if you invest 5,000 in a year, then he was unaware with this fact that if he will invest 5,000 every month, which is like, every year he's spending some amount in investment, and if he keep holding that, then one day it will become very huge amount and he will be benefit towards it. But so how do you convince people that because the problem in today's world is that there is a huge gap in the income and the expenses, and people have whatever it is. I have seen this in from my bare eyes that somebody whose income was like, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, he joined a different company, he got 30% increment, his salary increased, and at the same time he increased, his expenses also increased. But why somebody is unable to understand that instead of increasing the expense, why can't we increase the investment part? So how do you explain that? Have you seen this problem in your journey of investment and explaining them to your clients?
Prabhakar, absolutely. You see, this journey is tough. The journey is difficult, but you must also understand everybody needs to have the first step forward. So, as I was telling you the story of two lines, one was 15 degree, other one was 70 degrees. The gap was increasing with every passing year. So, one has to realize how you'll make the gap lesser by the method of investment. So, I was introduced some investment products, but the the commanding officer himself was not very familiar, but he just introduced me to the mutual funds. So what I did, I will tell you my own journey.
Okay.
You see, the trust becomes very important, and when you don't know anything, then you look for some expert in the industry. So if you are sick, look for a doctor. If you need some consulting related to the education or your career, you go to the consultant who gives you that advice. You want to go do the studies foreign, you go to those kind of consultants and the advisors. Unfortunately, in our nation, nobody looks for the financial advisor. सब बोलते हैं गूगल है ना, मैं हूं ना. So you see, investing is something like going into the deep sea without the knowledge of swimming and without the safety jacket. Or you're doing the house riding, you don't know how to hold the galloping horse reins. So you need somebody who can do the hand holding. Prabhakar, typically, as in your case, I am doing that.
Correct.
So what you do is basically you will understand all that. I will just tell you a narrative, my story. So once this happened in the boardroom, I started 10,000 rupees SIPs, systematic investment plan, into the mutual funds. Now, as the knowledge was less,
In which
and
year did you?
unfortunately,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
In which year did you start this SIP?
yeah, nice, 2003.
Great, thank you.
So 2003, knowledge was less, and unfortunately, I was working with Prithvi Missile, and all my laptops, computers, desktop were sealed. You're not allowed to put any floppy drive. You're not
Correct.
allowed to put any pen drive because it is supposed to be all standalone system because of the highest secrecy, the only unit of the armed forces. We have no internet. In 2003, in fact, I did not have my email ID also. But I started reading through newspapers and I started 10,000 rupees systematic investment plan. My take home salary was 33,000.
Yes, at that time,
So
I can feel that.
almost 33% of my take home salary I started investing. I have two daughters. Elder one was in sixth, younger was in second. So when I started this in 2003, every alternate month, we used to have pitch battle at home. खाना खा ले या SIP खा ले. I I held my ground and tightened my seat belt. I said, come hell or high water, SIPs will not be stopped. The journey started in 2003. 2008 came. Lehman Brothers, subprime, the market crashed. The Sensex crashed from 20,000 to 7,900. My investments was minus 29%.
Oh dear.
5 years I have read and I read like hell. Everybody was running from the market and people were saying, if whatever you have, take out because the stock market is finished for lifetime. But I have read Sensex started from 1979 with 100 points. Today it is touching 63,000 points. No product have grown 63,000 times.
Correct.
So, but the journey was not straight. The journey has been roller coaster. As I told you, 2003 I started. Even after 5 years, I was minus 29%. So the journey was not linear even for the stock market. So it was typically roller coaster as the individual life is. Our life is also day to day roller coaster. We plan something, happens something, looking for an increment, but we got 6%. Looking for promotion, probably not consider somebody else who is incompetent consider. So investment journey is absolutely akin to the life journey. So people were running from the market and I was still plowing in 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever was left with me in my pocket. This money was meant for my daughter's education. She was to go for professional education in 2011. The market crashed from 20,000, 2008 to 2009 to 7,900. It started moving from 7,900 to 22,000 in 2011. Gentlemen, my investments that time were positive 26% compounding.
Dear, this
This
is
money
amazing.
was 36 lakh rupees. My daughter's engineering cost was 10 lakh, but since there was no advisory, that time advisor was not available, and took out the entire money, the most foolish action, despite I was reading, did that. Although with that money, I could educate both my daughters, but if that money was there in the investment, probably that would have created wonder by now. So, in this journey, five principles of investment emerge, which I'll come to you later. But Prabhakar, one has to take the plunge, select somebody who can do a hand holding, as you trust the doctor till the time you are cured, or you go to a different doctor. So, probably you have somebody who can do this hand holding during this journey, who's credible. Credibility will be only known when you tread that path with him for 5 to 7 to 10 years. Prabhakar.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your. And guys, who all are raising their hands at 9:45, we are going to open the channel for questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions to ask, and definitely you should. But before we go ahead and take the questions, we have a little bit more knowledge to understand, and the next question which I have, I've been facing this, that the what exactly the taxation in the investment products. So let's say I'm paying the salary which is coming, I'm paying tax. So if I'm going to invest some money and once I'll withdraw that money, so do I have to pay taxes? A lot of people have these questions.
Yeah, Prabhakar. You see, every product is taxable in our country, but you see, when it comes to the mutual fund, stocks, bonds, they are the least taxable in our nation. So, what happens typically? You see, it is treated both two ways. One is short-term capital gain, other is long-term capital gain. So, what is
Okay.
short-term capital gain? If you invest your money and you withdraw within 12 months, even 364th day.
Okay.
So, for example, you invested 1 lakh, it has become 1 lakh 10,000. So, on 10,000 growth, you have to pay 15% tax. So, 1,500 will go for tax. However, the TDS is not deducted in the mutual fund and the stocks. Second, even if you are a 30% tax bracket, you have to pay 15%. Even if you are at no tax bracket, you still have to pay 15%.
Okay.
Now, there's something known as long-term capital gain.
Okay.
Long-term capital gain is, say you invested 5 lakh rupees today and you take out after 5 years, it has become 7 lakh rupees, or maybe let's say it has become double in 7 years. So it has become 10 lakh rupees. So 5 lakh is your principal, which you have already taxed. Only that is how you have invested.
Correct.
Balance 5 lakh, 1 lakh rupees in long-term capital gain is exempted from taxation. So 5 plus 1, 6 lakh is exempted. Balance is 4 lakh. On 4 lakh, now long term capital gain is just 10%. So you have to pay just 40,000 rupees on entire 5 lakh rupees of growth, even if you are 30% tax bracket or you are into no tax bracket. So in most of the product, when you go to conventional saving, you have to pay tax as per your tax bracket. If you are in FD, you are not only losing the money because the growth is about 5 to 7%, and if you are 30% tax bracket, you are losing another 30% on your interest. Here you are just paying 10%. So this is the most tax efficient product also in our nation.
Uh,
Prabhakar.
Ajay, actually, I have a question over here. Long-term capital gain. So you mentioned there is a threshold of 1 lakh rupees, and after that you will be taxed 10%. So there is one, I guess, workaround or kind of cheat sheet that people actually book long-term capital gain of up to 1 lakh, then invest in that stock again, right? So this is how you actually save on taxes, versus they just leave the shares that they have bought for a long period of time. What would you prefer in your opinion?
You see, I tell you, I'm of the opinion, by saving 1 lakh rupees, meaning you are saving a tax of just 10,000 rupees.
Yeah. Okay. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you save the tax of just 10,000 rupees and you're thinking that you save 1 lakh rupees, there's no taxation means 10,000. But the irony is, say you buy a stock or a mutual fund mutual fund is bought at a NAV, net asset value, and the stock is bought at what is the current price.
Mm-hmm.
So, say current price of a stock is 1,000 rupees. You have booked profit and saved the tax of 10,000 rupees, and you bought that stock at 900 rupees, and luckily market is going well. You are not in a position to pick up that stock ever at 900 rupees if the stock is decent. So getting 10,000 rupees at taxation versus that stocks become 1,200 to 1,500 to 1,600 for a long term will be much more beneficial than getting a benefit of 10,000 rupees. So I advocate, please be long term investor. Do not try to say 10,000 rupees. It is absolutely a lot of CA advice, a lot of people advise in the market, but I'm totally advocate that this is not to be done. You are spoiling your investment every year because you're doing the redemptions and trying to say just 10,000 rupees. Probably your growth will give you 20 to 30 to 40,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Prabhakar.
Uh,
Yeah.
Me again. So what if you
Okay, please
buy
go ahead.
that amount of shares again at the same day only?
Repeat, please.
Yeah, so I was asking about that, that scenario only, that you are booking 1 lakh capital gain, so that you are saving on 10,000. But as soon as you sell, you again buy the same amount of, units of that particular shares again.
Same amount,
Yeah, same amount.
amount,
So, yeah.
but units are not the same. You see, if the unit was 100 rupees, you sold it today, unit is 110 rupees. So you're getting less units. If the
Hmm.
share was 900 rupees, you sold at 1,000. Now the share is 1,000, 1,100. So you're getting the lesser share of that same amount. Are you getting my point?
So one of the same stories.
Yeah. So I have seen in my journey, I deal with 1,000 clients, handle about the profile says 150, but I will tell you overall I handle about 300 crores. It is my day in and day out job, and I never advise this to happen. And the best part about mutual fund, if you don't redeem for next 20 years, you are not taxed even in those 19 years period. The taxation happens only on the year of redemption.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Prabhakar.
So before we go ahead and move further, because I would like to understand and listen to your 5 rules which you've mentioned in the beginning. But before that, let's take 2 questions here. So
Okay.
I'm going to bring Aman Gupta has something to say. Aman Gupta, I'm going to invite you as a speaker, please. Looks like there's a delay. Okay, Aman Gupta, if you okay, yeah, you join. Aman, welcome to Fishbowl. Please go ahead and ask your questions.
Yeah. Hi, sir. I wanted to understand about rebalancing. There is a concept of rebalancing. Like, for example, I'm asking it more in reference to NPS. Like, for example, if let's say a person is having 50% equity component and 50% government securities component, and let's say if a person is gonna invest 1 lakh rupees in NPS, how should or how should be the what should be the strategy of rebalancing and what should be the strategy of booking profits in NPS?
So, Aman, I have understood your question. Uh, you see, it cannot be cut and dry answer for everybody. Every individual will have a different need. So I have to need to talk to you personally, one to one. However, generally, I say if you are between the age of 20 years to 30 years time, your maximum exposure should be in equity or equity mutual fund. And I typically say 75% of your investment should be in equity and equity mutual funds, and 25% of that amount of investment should be towards the balance funds, not towards debt at all, because this is the time you're taking the maximum risk. But if you're risk averse, then this 25% would be going to the fixed income or the debt instrument. So that could be bond, that could be corporate FDs, that could be conventional FDs. Those can also be, there's something on a peer-to-peer lending where you get the FD return of 12% on an FD. So there are various product, fixed income product which are available. So I'm not sure whether this satisfy your answer, but it is absolutely individual. There's no cut and dry formula which I can paste it to you, but this is generally that I have told you.
Okay. Sir, just to rephrase what I was trying to ask is, let's say a person has invested 1 lakh rupees in NPS, and let's say whatever the structure that person is having, now that investment has grown, has grew from 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh. And now, let's say if the person wants to book profit, then how should that person book profit? Like, for example,
Clear.
in
Okay. Understood. Understood. Aman, understood. You see, every investment has to be a goal oriented investment, not the profit booking investment. So that is how the five principle of investment which Prabhakar was saying. I will narrate now itself so that people can understand, which will give you little clarity. You see, this journey is long term. Not it is not the profit booking process. It is a method which is long term, goal oriented, to create wealth for you over for a longer period of time, to have the financial freedom. So five principle of investment is, the first principle says the savings happen with little difficulty. Typically my journey, as I said, 33% of my take home income was going there. It was really, really difficult, but I adapted that difficulty. The first is savings happen with difficulty. Adapt that. If you're in a position to save 50,000 in a month, please save 55. If you're in a position to save 1 lakh rupees a month, please save 1 lakh 10,000. Additional 10,000 should pinch you, hurt you. That is the real saving. The second principle of investment is courage to see investment turn negative. As I said, my investment, even after 5 years, was minus 29%. And this journey is difficult, roller coaster. Stay. But if I'm so confident this can happen, turn negative anytime, why that we should always be investing or should be investing? So there's a method in the madness. What is the method? I will tell you. Third principle is patience and disciplines. Patience meaning be patient, whatever may be the condition of market, as I did. The entire world was running away from investment, and I was plowing back investment into the existing funds. That is what gave me 26% compounding, because I did not need that money that time. If I needed that money that time, it was a debacle for me. So we need to adapt the methodology in this entire method. So patience means be patient, hold your horses. Whatever is happening, be patient. Discipline means if you have committed every month 50,000, 1 lakh rupees, do not stop, because when the markets are down, there's a sale in the stock market. The 100 rupees thing you are getting for 80 rupees, 80 rupees things you are getting for 60 rupees. You will never get that opportunity to ever in your life. What happened in pandemic? Market crash, since Nifty crash from 12,000 to 7,500, but people did not invest. It'll crash further, it'll crash further, but they are still sitting at the fence. So market may crash, you have to have a faith and keep investing during those journey, because this is the discounted rate. You are getting more number of units and the more number stock for the lesser amount. Fourth is review your investment 18 to 24 months. Market is cyclical. Today EV, real estate, infrastructure, ESG theme, which is really booming. Real estate was in a bad state 3 years back for last 8 to 7 years. So your investment should be made in a fashion that it should be able to withstand each cycle. If I typically talk about Prabhakar investment, he has one mutual fund which is still minus 1%. I'm not changing because I'm sure the fundamentals of funds are fine, but the cycle is likely to turn. So in all his investment, there's one which is giving 24%, there's one which is minus 1% because it is cyclical. Fundamentally, it is not affected. However, it is important to remain invested. Fifth is long-term goal-oriented investment. Here, the principle number two, courage to see investment turn negative, and this comes into. I will take little time. I know the time is running out, but this is most important. Say after 10 years, you want 50 lakh rupees for X goal, or I can say your sense education. So how typically we go about it? Say today 2023, 2033, you need 50 lakh rupees. For that you have invested say 30 lakh rupees today. So 3 years before we review your investment, is not investment, this goal. Investment is reviewed every 18 to 24 months. This goal will be reviewed 3 years before. I don't know, 50 lakh maybe at 40, 41, 45. Let's put it as 41 to 42. I take out this money and put in the fixed income for the next 3 years. It might grow into 41 to 42 to 45. So gap between 50 and 45 is just 5 lakh rupees. Your goal is not compromised. But in 2033, if the market crashed and your 50 lakh standing at 25 lakh, your goal is completely compromised. And why 3 years? I have seen in a cycle of year and a half, the market from the when it crashes, it revives year and a half and it crosses the previous high. Why I kept 3 years? Future, I don't know. It may take 2 years, it may take 3 years. So those cycles have to be kept. So this method has to be adopted. Every investment has to be goal oriented. That is how, and I'll tell you the SEBI's data. Mutual fund and stock within 2 years, 50% people exit because people might like me say, you take 15% every year. I said, no, you will get 12 to 15% compounding. Maybe first 2 to 3 years you might not get anything, but fourth year you might get back with compounding. Exponential losses will get the exponential growth. So this journey has to be lived for that time of your goal. So every investment is not meant for profit booking, it is meant for the goal. So I leave it at that. I hope it must have answered your question. Prabhakar, over to you.
Thank you so much for this five. I call it a 5% rule basically. This is amazing. Absolutely, one should plan according. I mean, according to a goal, keeping goal in the mind, and a lot of people in. I mean, all the youngsters who are in my age area. I mean, they are investing in the in the cryptos and in the futures and a lot of people are doing it like they're booking profit and they're just using that money somewhere else, either in their daily expenses or maybe somewhere else. But I think the real essence is there in holding that money into the compounding and keeping a goal in mind that, like you said, if somebody wants his kid to be admitted to one of the best school in the world, then, or maybe one of the best college in the world, then obviously you need money. And if you keep this in mind, to keep compounding, keep flushing the money into the account, definitely there's nothing better than that. So thank you so much. We have lot many hand raised, so I'm not really sure if we can take all of you onboarded on top of the speaker line. However, who all are left, please do not mind. Please follow Ajay Gupta or follow me, and you can post your questions directly. You can seek help in your financial advisors, in your finance. He is the great asset to you. Trust me, I have been with him from the last 7 years, and before 3 years I did not listen to him because I was in my own waves, but now I am on top of the world. I can bet that within 5 years I will be at 1 CR within 5 years, I'm telling you. And if I hold that for a longer period of time, maybe let's say 2 to 3 more years, I will be more than that. So I'm really blessed to have him. So without further ado, let me pull up few people. Sagar, you've been raising hand from quite a long time, so let me just pull you up. Sagar, I have sent you an invitation to speak. If you see that, please go ahead. Sagar Khatri, you have joined. Please go ahead and ask your question. Sagar, can you hear me? Okay.
So Prabhakar, actually, what happens? Okay, he has just dropped out. So you can pull up any other
Yeah. That's what
person.
I will pull someone else. Okay, Harsha. I'm going to pull Harsha. Harsha Patil, you've been sent an invitation to speak. Abhinav Srivastava. Hello, Harsha. Can you hear me?
Yes, this is Harsha. Sorry, I was on mute.
No, it's okay. Look, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, so in my case, I just started investing a year back of pandemic. So I went through some like news articles as well as some of the trainers, and I went undergone one of the training. So based on that, I started doing some investment for the long term. So one thing I also got a suggestion like as Ajay sir said, like whenever there will be a crash in the market, so there might be a chance of getting the stocks at very low price. So what I did is I kept some fund for such cases, and as soon as there was a market crash, and I split it into the 10 EMIs and invested that amount in bulk. So that was one thing which helped me. So is that a good choice to do?
Absolutely, Harsha. I mentioned that this is one of the most intelligent thing. You see, when you start investing and when the market started going down, whatever amount you have, please decide and then divide that accordingly so that every dip you pick up something. And you did a right thing. You said you divided that into 10 portion. Sorry, please don't call it a EMI.
Yes,
EMI
yes,
is a liability. This is a voluntarily contribution for our growth journey. So good
yes.
thing, Harsha. I must compliment you.
Yes, and as you said, during pandemic, even my portfolio looked around 5% down, but now I'm happy that it is around 15% plus. So thank you.
Nice, fantastic.
That's all from my side. Thank you.
Uh, Ajay sir, I have one question. This is actually related to me only. I started my investment journey in during the pandemic only, like 1 to 2 months ago only, and my major investment was happening at the time when the market was severely low. So this gave me kind of a pseudo expectation that 45 to 60% of returns is possible, and now that I'm getting like 10 to 12 or 14% of return per year from normal investment. Now, like currently, I'm getting those in the last year, so it's not kind of mentally fulfilling. So, what would be your advice to me?
Hardeep, as I told you, you see, anything which is beating the inflation is a fantastic growth. Mutual fund and the stock, typically, if it is invested correctly and every 18 to 24 months reviewed, what is the cycle? Is all your funds are in the correct cycle, investment into the correct cycle, then you can expect a compounding of 12 to 15%. Please do not expect 40% compounding ever. I was lucky because I was plowing back money at the time it was down. And let me tell you, I started doing my own stock investment about 4 years back, direct stock investment, which are currently at 180%. It is showing 47% compounding in stocks. But mutual fund, it is not possible. Stocks, it is certainly possible. So mutual fund, 12 to 15% compounding is fantastic journey. So Hardeep, you should be happy.
This is Shivam actually, and yeah, I was
Sorry,
actually
Shivam, I'm extremely sorry. Yeah.
no problem. Actually, I've been investing in equity only, and those were giving these kind of returns. Mutual fund is like okayish,
So
Yeah.
you
still
share your
beating the
portfolio
inflation.
with me. I will review the entire portfolio and advise you.
Absolutely, we'll connect offline.
Sure.
Correct. Hardeep, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I was also about to say the same thing which Shivam has told. Uh, I was mainly tracking the market, mainly the equity stocks, mainly, normally the large cap and mid cap, and also some of the small caps, which was mainly down to almost, I can say, more than 50-60%. So I have tried to make my portfolio look better because initially I never had got any return of more than 5%. But when this mid cap and small caps went down to something, I think I can say in the range of 27,000 and small cap as 8,500. So I have invested in all those stocks which were like having a good fundamental, and I have built almost like which was like 2% profitable. Now today, if the market has closed and I can see like it is more than 22% of gain on my portfolio which I have built from the duration of almost 3 to 4 months. I can say I have started on 28th of March. So is it the right approach, or do we need to, as Ajay sir has already mentioned, so we should follow compounding thing, or this approach which I have chosen, is it the right approach, or I have to just start investing whenever market goes down because of some news or any bigger crash? So this is what I am a bit confused sometimes. So I just want a clarification. Whatever approach I have followed, was it correct, or some other approach which may help me in a longer run? So normally I have SIPs done for almost 12,000 rupees every month, which I am doing it. That covers the some of the segments of the market. Like there are some funds which I have invested in. Then, but in between, when I have a fear, like I stopped doing SIP. Just like Ajay sir has mentioned, like we should not stop whatever may be the situation. So I just wanted to mainly know about these two factors. One is equity, another is mutual fund. How I should follow this approach so that I have a good amount at the end, maybe end of another 20-25 years. So this is why I think
Hardeep,
my
Hardeep, I
question
have
to Ajay
understood.
sir.
I have understood. I have understood. I told you five principles. Remember them. No investment should be done for a short term. If you really want to do a short term investment and they give you a lot of goosebumps, please keep a lakh, 2 lakh rupees for that purpose and keep playing around to keep getting the goosebumps. But rest of the money should always be invested on a long term and follow those five principles. Savings happen with little difficulty, courage to see investment turn negative, patience and discipline. In review 18 to 24 months, you must have a financial advisor in life and long-term goal-based investment. What is the purpose of investment? You should be in a position to fulfill your financial goals and your liabilities during this life journey. And now everybody is non-pensionable. I'm the few lucky ones, defense, where the pension is still going on. So you also have to create a pension corpus. I don't know, Prabhakar, if I 2 minutes, I can touch upon on pension for 2 minutes. Is it
Please go ahead,
possible
sir.
or
Please go ahead.
not?
Absolutely. Yes, please go ahead.
I can't hear you.
Uh, yeah, please go ahead, Ajay. I can
I
hear
just can't
Prabhakar
hear.
actually. Seems like a network issue. Can you hear us, Ajay?
I can't hear anybody. Hello. So you guys can hear me?
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I
can
can
hear
hear you.
you.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we can hear.
So can I go ahead for 2 minutes?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
So what is pension and how you create a pension for yourself? You see, what is the purpose? At the time of retirement, you should have a corpus. We should be in a position to look after you till the life expectancy of 80 to 85 years. Now, whenever you wish to retire at 40, then that money should be able to last another 40 years. At 60, then that money should be able to last for another 20 years minimum. So the thumb rule is, if you have 1 CR at the time of retirement, I can give you a pension of 80,000 rupees a month if that investment is there for 5 to 7 years of your time. So every CR 80,000 rupees. So if you're today, your expense is 1 lakh rupees, and after 10 years, if you put 7% inflation, probably it is 2 lakh rupees. So you should be in a position to create almost 2.5 CR to get that kind of a money from that corpus. And you see, if I withdraw 0.8% of a CR, means 0.8% per month multiplied by 12 months, it becomes 9.6%. If your corpus 5 to 7 years keeps going 12%, means 2.4% is getting added into your corpus. So your corpus is perennial, it never finishes ever. And you live that kind of a life which you can't imagine. You don't have to do anything, and this is pension which is secured for lifetime. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you so much, Hardeep, to joining us as a speaker, and you ask your question. Thank you so much. I think we have reached towards the end of the podcast, and I really thank all of you who have raised their hands, couldn't speak because we couldn't bring you in because of the constraint of time. However, you can follow me or you can drop your questions to me. I'll definitely consult Ajay Gupta sir and I'll give you the answer. The best part would be if you can follow Ajay Gupta sir on his Fishbowl and get the essence of direct communication and direct consultancy with him. And I thank you so much, Shivam, to give us the opportunity to flourish the knowledge about investing. We will keep bringing this podcast because this is not the end, because there are a lot of information needs to be shared with you. And going forward, we are going to bring two topics at one time so that we can discuss this in elaboration, because we have Ajay Gupta sir and he has the tremendous knowledge in the finance sector. So without further ado, I would say thank you so much for coming and you have a great night ahead. If you want to say something, Ajay sir, as a closing comment, please go ahead.
No, thank you so much, Shivam and Prabhakar, giving me this opportunity. I only want to say that I want to sow seed in of investment in everybody's life. When that seed gets germinated, it is his luck. I keep going to the corporates, to the colleges and universities to give the lecture on financial freedom. Any of you, any one of you, if keen, can organize that. I shall certainly come and deliver the lecture there also. Happy investing. Great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
sir.
much, Ms. Ajay sir and Prabhakar, for joining us today. It was really insightful. On all the behalf of our community, I'd like to thank you, and we'll definitely do this again. And for you guys, we will also do this another event next week with Mr. Prabhakar Mishra on toxicity at workplace on Tuesday. So please join that as well. Until that time, you have a good rest of the week and have a good night. Thanks, Prabhakar. Thanks, Ajay sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you.